So, welcome with me on stage, Laura Jeffords Greenberg of Littlstar. I want to see everything about content performance.
Hi. Trying to figure out, I think I'll just stand here because the microphone is here and it's a clicker. But first of all, thank you for having me. This has been a really great conference so far, and I'm glad that everyone is in the audience to attend this presentation. So I'm going to talk about content performance just in respect to 360 video. So Littlstar currently supports 360 video. We will be moving into interactive, but this is exclusively about 360 video. And there we go. So the purpose is really to discuss some general patterns and trends to enable content creators to really create compelling content. We at Littlstar, because we are a distribution platform, really want to support creators and help them to create the best content that they can. So hopefully you'll be able to gain some insights from this presentation that can help you. So first I'm just going to briefly talk about the industry, which I know most of you are familiar with, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the consumer, the content, and the future. And a word of warning here, I'm sure most of you know that it is difficult to find statistics and data about 360 video and virtual reality in general. So the statistics that we found from the industry, we spent a long and hard time trying to find those and also to verify them. So there's all sorts of statistics out there, and these are ones that really we have tried to verify. And I'm going to be pairing the general industry with then Littlstar data that's specific to our platform to give you a greater insight. So the industry. Again, everyone is familiar with this, the industry overview. We have content aggregators, the headsets, and well as other platforms such as Jaunt, Inception, Within, which are competitive to Littlstar. I highlighted the Samsung Gear VR, YouTube, and Facebook, because when people are talking about 360 video and statistics, they often lump in YouTube, Facebook, and Gear VR, and there you need to be careful because those platforms really focus more on mobile, especially Facebook and 360, or sorry, Facebook 360 and YouTube 360. Most of that consumption is actually on a mobile home, and I have some jet lag, sorry, on a mobile phone, and not actually in headset. And for all of the content creators, we always like to highlight the platform stores where you can make money off of your content. So I want to just go back to 2016 and set the stage to compare virtual reality headset sales with actually the iPhone. So we'll start with the debut of head-mounted displays in 2016. Google Cardboard, so again, this would be mobile VR and not what we would consider a traditional head-mounted display. There were 88 million Google Cardboards that were distributed, and that's the very base minimum. Samsung Gears, they distributed 4 to 5 million. They actually didn't sell all of these. They were given away for the most part with a phone. So people weren't actually necessarily buying these. This is people not spending money on what you consider using a mobile phone for VR. So in 2016, these are the numbers that we could find. None of the actual head-mounted displays sold over 1 million units. So really, if you're just talking about head-mounted displays and what people are watching, it's a very small number of consumers that you're reaching. And because of this small number, there's actually not a lot of data. People are not really releasing their statistics because it's not as impressive as comparing it to, let's say, mobile phone sales. I think it's interesting to note in China, they have a $30 head-mounted display, and they sold over 1 million units. So that really is showing you that price does play a factor. If we compare this to the debut of the iPhone in 2007 exclusively in the US, in the first 6 months, there were 3.3 million iPhones sold. The following full year, there were almost 12 million iPhones sold. So really, you can see that this is a new and emerging technology if you're looking at the head-mounted displays rather than the cardboards or the Gears of the world. We've got a lot of catching up to do. Mobile is leading the charge, as you could see in that last screen. So almost 90% of the VR units that are sold worldwide are for mobile rather than head-mounted displays. And again, just some more stats about Google Cardboard. And interestingly, there was 106 million downloads of Cardboard apps on Google Play. So now we're going to move to the consumer. So who is actually consuming VR? Who are you producing your content for? First, where is 360 video consumed? I'm sure, again, most of you know this. At home, there's a very limited number of people who are using head-mounted displays. People are also consuming 360 video on internet browsers, mobile VR, mobile internet, and also Android and iOS TVs. The location-based entertainment, which is on the rise across the world, you see that in arcades, cafes, centers, events, cinemas, escape rooms, amusement parks, and also museums. So who is using VR? The average user is probably what most of us would expect, 18 to 34, 70%, over 70% is male. These people are tech savvy. For the most part, someone who is interested in VR and using VR is 2.5 times more likely to be a gamer. So again, these are people that have technology knowledge, they're playing games, and that's why they're drawn into VR. The average Littlstar user were actually found in their later 20s and into their 30s. And I think that probably has to do with the fact that these are people who have disposable income. So if you're buying a head-mounted display, it's a substantial investment. So rather than someone who, let's say, just graduated college or high school, they don't necessarily have the money to be spending on a head-mounted display. We do follow the same pattern where we have about 30% of our users are female. So who is using VR age-wise? As you can see, the older someone gets, the less interested they are in VR, and the younger someone is, the more interested they are in VR. How often are VR users using their devices? About only 22% are actually using them daily, and that's something that we actually see on our platform. People tend to use our platform, Littlstar, as it goes into the weekend. So we see some increased usage on Thursday nights into Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. That's really when people are tending to put on their headsets and using VR. So it's not something that's been incorporated into their daily routine, but as you can see there, we've got about half using it either daily or once a week. Again, going back to building on sort of the first comparison, how much are consumers willing to pay? You can see the majority of people are willing to pay up to about $250 US. Really, there's a quarter of the population that would like it free, which I think then corresponds to, you see, the use of Google Cardboards. And around $100, we've got 34%. So I do again think that the cost of head-mounted displays is hampering some use of head-mounted displays. So this is also interesting. Where is 360 video most popular? So in general, from the stats that I found, again, this was very hard to find in general, these statistics, about 40% is in the United States. Japan is about 14%, and we couldn't find statistics to corroborate these other countries, but from what we found, we know that obviously China, 360 video is very popular in China, Europe, UK, and then the other. And that corresponds to what we can actually see, which is verified from our usage, where we are based in the United States, so we're a United States company. About 30% of our users come from the United States, 15% are in Japan. We are not available in China, so we don't have any statistics on a Chinese market, but after that we broke down the EU into Germany, France, and then other. And there, on our other list, it is a very, very wide array of countries that you would be surprised. We have a lot of different African countries. There is a giant list, so that's also something that's kind of interesting. Just something to the lawyer in me, because I also play a legal role as well as a business affairs role. Going back to the ages, just want a word of warning for people. Content for children, it seems very attractive, right? The younger people get, the more interested they are in VR. However, most head-mounted display units are for, they recommend that you're age 12 and up, and there's also local legislation that regulates digital distribution to children. It also regulates collecting data from children as well. So if you're thinking about producing content for children, it's something that you need to be a little bit more aware of. So now this is probably what everyone I think is more interested in. What are we finding with the content? How is it performing? First of all, I wanted to compare and contrast two different data sets that we found. What types of VR content interest people? We have in this chart, leading the way is gaming. So this is in general VR content, not just 360 video. And then we have traditional movies, TV, travel, live events, and user-generated. I want to compare that then with the following chart, which is what types of 360 video interest people. And you can see that gaming then is on the other end, and travel and adventure are on the higher end. People could vote for multiple different categories, which is why it doesn't add up to 100%. Really, when we looked at all the data about what people want, I don't think people know what they want in 360 video. That's kind of the conclusion that we came to. There is data just all over the place. So I wouldn't necessarily listen to the consumers about them telling us what they want at this point. We did find out, though, in headset that 360 video was 27% more emotionally engaging, and consumers spent 34% longer watching in headset than they did with traditional 2D content. So we do know that if you have a choice to produce in 2D versus 360 video, you actually are going to engage your consumers at a much higher level, and they are going to be emotionally charged and interested in it. So there really is a benefit to creating 360 video content. And just as a side note, that picture is actually from our headquarters in Soho in New York. So if you're ever in New York, stop by our office. You can check out our theater room. Now, for all the people who are producing advertising content, this was also some interesting statistics that we found. If you're advertising in virtual reality or 360 video, it was 1.5 to 18 times more effective than 2D. So again, if you're producing a 360 video, you're going to actually get you're going to get more out of your advertisement rather than 2D. And the same, brand recall was also 8 times more effective in VR, which is huge. So people are engaging and they're also retaining what they're seeing in 360 video as compared to 2D. And again, consumers are 51% more likely to engage in VR. That means that they are actually 51% more likely to share their experiences in 360 video in VR than they would with 2D content, which is a great statistic for advertisers. So you produce something, you maybe put it limitedly in 360 video, and then the consumers, the people that you're trying to reach, are then going to share that for you. Now we're just going to look at a couple different platforms and the most watched 360 videos. So from Facebook and YouTube, the #1 most watched video was a Gorillaz music video. After that, the second one was, it's a Brazilian, I believe, car battery advertisement that was animated for children, and that is the second most watched. After that comes the Nissan Rogue 360 VR experience, which is an advertisement for a Nissan car, which incorporates Star Wars. So you sort of like drop in, and the stormtroopers are in the desert, and then the Nissan car comes and picks you up. After that is a random Russian video that people are really into, and then a Minecraft video. So I highlighted the Brazilian advertisement and also the Nissan Rogue. These are two what we call promotional, I call them advertisement. They're videos, so people are watching advertisements and videos rather than original content. So I think they're just hungry to get whatever that they can get. Now this is a little bit harder to get some of this data, but from the Oculus Rift, their most watched videos was Ghost in a Shell, again, Nissan Rogue One, which I talked about before. Disney movies, VR, there's a variety of those. Marvel Avengers, Tony Stark's lab, you can go into his lab, kind of check some things out. And 50 Shades Darker, which is from the movie 50 Shades of Grey, The Masquerade Ball. So again, the ones in red are advertisements or promotional videos. So, and then the rest are actually existing IP. So that's interesting. People are, actually all of them are existing IP. So people are drawn to the IP that they know, the entertainment brands that they are familiar with, and again, they're fine watching advertisements for a car. So now the most watched on Littlstar is a little bit different, and we took this just in head-mounted displays rather than on mobile web and TV. So for us, the most watched is For Honor in Battle, which is a promotional video for the game. And that's actually been on our platform for a long time, so that's probably why it's up there. After that is it's Alien Covenant, which is a promotional video from Fox for their new Alien movie. And after that is 50 Shades of Grey, the same thing, a promotional piece for the movie. And It Float is a promotional piece again for the It movie, and then Paranormal Activity, the ghost dimension, comes in after that. So something to notice, at least from our data, is that people, for the most part, are looking at sort of horror and scary experiences. So something that they can be immersed in and, you know, scared by. For example, For Honor, you actually are dropped into a medieval sort of battlefield, and people are whacking each other's heads off and stabbing each other, and you're kind of in the middle of that. In Alien Covenant, I don't know if you've seen that, but you actually are the alien inside someone. So you're growing inside someone's stomach, and then you burst out and eat someone. It's kind of, yeah, graphic. And It is the same thing. You go down into the drain pipe with the scary the clown, and he's kind of chasing you around the sewers. So people are really interested in the horror and things, content that is scaring them. So this is some very specific Littlstar data, which I don't think this is probably the first time that's really been shared publicly, but again, we want to help content creators, so we're willing to share this information with you guys. The average length of a piece of content on our site is 3 to 5 minutes. So these are short pieces. We don't have, I mean, we have a couple full-length pieces, but for the most part, it's really 3 to 5 minutes. And we're finding that people are spending an average of 20 plus minutes in headsets. So that means they're watching multiple pieces. They're not just putting on their headset to go watch one piece. They're spending time in there, checking it out, exploring the content library. Our top categories, which supports, again, the data previously, is movies and TV. So people are drawn to things that they know, existing IP, that they maybe have read about, or they just saw it. Hey, let's check it out. After that is music, then animation, followed by travel, gaming, sports, and other. So this is something that I found interesting once I sat down with our data guys to have them to look at this. So our top searches for all time, and full disclosure, I thought #1 was going to be porn. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but you know, VR 360 video is definitely used for porn. So I was surprised when the all-time #1 search was roller coasters. That's followed by horror. You know, we did put porn in there, scratch that out, which is then followed by sharks and space. So what we took from this is that people are really looking, again, for experiences, and maybe the only thing that they know about virtual reality and head-mounted displays is that it's something that might be a little bit gimmicky, right? So a roller coaster or horror or sharks or space, these are all deeply immersive experiences, but they also have a high shock value. So the consumers might not yet be educated that in VR 360 video, they can have cinematic experiences and actually are able to watch film. Right now, they're looking for, you know, how do I test out this new medium? And I wanted to compare that with summer 2017 and fall 2017 to really show you how educated the consumers are. So I guess in summer, porn went to the top. But then we also had the same horror, roller coasters, and sharks. But number 5 was the Star Wars Nissan Rogue experience, which I talked about before. We just called it Star Wars, but it is the ad for the Nissan car, which has the Star Wars IP in it, the stormtroopers and things like that. So our consumers knew that that was coming out, and they went to our site and they searched it. And then again, just as repeated again in the fall 2017, the #1 search was it, which was the promotional video for it. And again, we see repeats of roller coasters, sharks, and space. Now, I just want to make sure that you know I'm not advocating that we create these things, but that's really what consumers are sort of thinking in the beginning of what virtual reality is, what 360 video is. So we know that consumers do want good content. They're drawn to existing IP, and they're really jumping at new immersive experiences. Something that we like to reiterate to content producers and creators is, what is 360 video good for? Because we do get a lot of submissions of video, and not all of it is good, and not all of it should be made in 360 video. Not everything, you know, is ripe for 360 video. Some things should stay 2D. So we like to recommend that 360 video is good for the cost prohibited. So if something is very expensive, an experience, and you could show it in 360 video, that's very beneficial. Also the counterproductive. So we use the example of we want to educate people about the destruction of the Great Barrier Reef. Well, you don't want to take large travel groups down there. Instead, make a 360 video, and you can educate people that way. People are also drawn to the impossible and the dangerous. And that's really what we're seeing people are searching for on our site. And I think that's a great use of 360 video. I think we saw in the morning, a lot of National Geographic content meets a lot of these suggestions. So briefly, I'll touch on the future here before I end. We're seeing a lot of investment in the VR and AR space, which is great. And you can see that the majority of the investment is in tech, so really pushing the boundaries forward to create better products. Then after that comes video and games. So there is investment in 360 video, and people are looking to push that forward. And then we have also the other peripheries. So we're excited about this, and we're looking forward to it, and everyone to sort of take this investment as a really great sign. And so we just want to end briefly with what we think it'll take to make head-mounted displays mainstream. The first we talked about is monetization, whether that is through individuals being able to purchase 360 video, whether that is through support for videos. Really, we need to be able to allow content creators to get their return on their investment. We also need improved technology, which will help lower the cost and then really enable consumers to gravitate towards this. We need new and improved content too. We have a limited library. We're always looking for more. Just in general, the VR space needs new and improved content. And we really believe that AR and location-based entertainment will help the at-home consumption in head-mounted displays for 360 video. So these are all things that we're looking to promote and push forward. At Littlstar, we again really believe in 360 video, in virtual reality, and want to help everyone in the industry push it forward so then it succeeds for all of us. So we hope that we'll be able to do this. We're looking to implement monetization on Littlstar hopefully by the end of the year, so then we can start enabling content creators to get some of their investment back and hopefully then make money on their content, which would be the goal for everyone. So with that, that is the end, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone.
That's great. That's actually too bad. I could listen for even more insights, so you have to come back and give us more.
Sure, gladly.
No, that is very super good. Do we have one short question to Laura? You first. Hi. Hold on, the microphone is coming.
Hello? Oh, it's working now. So you talked a lot about like different companies like HTC and Oculus and so on, and they have their own way of accepting content in there. And now there's a lot of talk about web VR as a open source platform that could reach more people because it's web based, and all the headsets can access a browser. What do you think about that? Do you think for monetization is it better to do web VR, or should we content creators always like seek the companies who have their content enclosed just for their users?
I mean, I guess it depends what your target audience is, and if, you know, do you want more eyeballs or do you want to make money? Just to give you a little background on Littlstar, what we're hoping to do, and it's going to take some time because of the technology, is we really are hoping to create a creators portal where then, you know, you can come to us, we'll have your content, whether it be 360 video or interactive, and then help you to distribute it across all of those platforms and monetize that as well. That's, I mean, eventually where we're going. Right now, it is difficult, I think, to say what would be like the best headset or whether web VR would be better, because we have a lot of players in the marketplace, and it's going to have to, you know, be narrowed in some way, and we don't exactly know what that is. We can see sort of what headsets maybe are more popular or where people are going, but I think right now it might be just a little too early to commit fully to, you know, one method.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. You can go back to Laura. She will be in the lounge. She will be here around this afternoon, so that's great. Thank you so much, Laura. We'll go on. We're going on.